This season on the Marvelous Middle Age podcast, I'm teaming up with the amazing women at the Restoration Project for an 8-episode series called Be the Mountain, Living and Leading with Radical Courage. In this episode, I visit with Brooke Fitzgerald from the Restoration Project and her client, Anji Kat. Anji is a seasoned health and wellness expert, having spent over 25 years in the wellness industry. In this conversation, Anji shares how embracing radical courage has transformed her life, work, and leadership. Her story is a powerful reminder of what's possible when we choose to lead with honesty, heart, and intention. Brooke Fitzgerald and Anji Kat, welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. So great to be here.
Well, I am so glad that both of you are here. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Anji, and I would love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself to the listeners. And Brooke, I will also have you introduce yourself to the listeners, if you don't mind.
Thank you so much. So my name is Anji Kat. That's at least the name that everybody knows me by. And I am a career veteran in the health and wellness space, and as particularly in employer well-being. But I'm also a business owner. I have Soulful Living with Anji, which is a business where I provide transformational spaces for women. And what that means is I provide circles, one-on-one mentorship that allow women to find their healthiest and best selves. And that has a very spiritual focus to it. Mm-hmm. So I do moon circles, I do intuitive readings and coaching, and I teach yoga and health and wellness, so that women can really thrive no matter what stage of life they're in. So that's me and my jam. And I live here in beautiful Marion, Iowa. I have 2 ornery cats that are my fur babies. And I have a wonderful community here of friends and family. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Oh my gosh, that sounds...
And sitting next to me is my amazing coach, Brooke. I just have to give a shout out. She is...
Oh, she's the best. Yes, I love it. I love it so much. Yes, Brooke, please introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, Brooke Fitzgerald. I'm the partner and energy builder at the Restoration Project. I do individual, team coaching and consulting. And yes, Anji is one of my amazing clients who has done a ton of work. And so she's really an inspiration for so many, including myself. That's one of the awesome things that I love about my job is I get to witness and watch people do transformational, courageous things. And I get to walk alongside them in that. And it's really inspiring and fun.
Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of I'm sure there's lots of great, professions and jobs out there, but to get to witness that has just got to be something incredibly special. So great. Well, I'm so glad that you are both here. Before we get into your story, Anji, Brooke, could you just kind of set the stage for us? The focus of this series is Be the Mountain, Living and Leading with Radical Courage. Can you just briefly refresh us on what that means?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So our theme for the Restoration Project this year, ironically, was Be the Mountain. And how we landed upon that and how it resonates in the work that we do is, life is full of uncertainties. It's full of chaos. It's full of unknowns, things that happen, right, that we have no control over, except for the fact that we can be the mountain. We can have foundational values and core belief systems that can help us to be, unwavered, even amongst chaos, even amongst things that are unknown, and how we can show up, courageously and owning and living into those things and knowing what is in our control has a lot to do with how we live and lead with intention, like intentional, meaningful lives, So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And again, for me, I'm a visual person. So I just picture this mountain, this strength, this steadfastness, this foundation. And like you said, when everything around the mountain can be chaotic, weather and all kinds of other things, the mountain stands firm and is foundationally strong. And that's what we can strive for and what we can strive to be and work towards. So thank you for refreshing us on that. Yes, the Restoration Project, folks, has a whole slate of amazing offerings this year. And we'll, be sharing more about throughout this series as well. But check them out. The link to their website is in the show notes. If you have not already checked them out, be sure and do that right away. Walk. Don't walk, run. That's what I meant to say. The Restoration Project. For sure.
Or walk, whatever. Or walk.
Yeah,
do what's best.
I'm not a runner. I've always wanted to be a runner, but I'm not. So I'll just walk. Strolling, but purposefully strolling towards the restoration.
That's right. Project. Yes. The purposeful walk.
I love it.
Yes. With intention.
Well, Anji, you are here as our special guest today because, as Brooke stated, you have done the work. You are just an inspiration to so many. And we were just blessed to have you agree to do this because your story is very powerful. And I know that there are going to be people listening today that are going to resonate with what you have to share. So to set the stage, can you just provide some background for your journey, kind of what you were experiencing, how it was impacting you, and why you kind of decided to make some changes in your life?
Yeah, it's like, how far back do I want to go here? I think really, truly, I've always been curious, and that has kind of led me. But when I moved back to Iowa after getting out of a very abusive relationship, I thought, I knew intuitively that letting that go was going to open up doors for me in a big way. However, what I didn't understand was that, and didn't know, was that menopause was going to hit right about the same time. Mm-hmm. So all of this desire to make all of these changes came to a crashing halt, and I didn't understand why. And I finally, this far into my health coaching and health teacher education career, finally decided to get a coach. And I had gone to one of the Restoration Project's webinars or their in-person events, and I just fell in love with them. And I said, I need to know more. I need this boost. And so it was really impactful because it gave me validation, and also it gave me the space to really look at the work that I needed to do, the inner work, because I was ready, I thought, to make changes. I knew that I wanted to do more with my life, particularly my career. These intuitive gifts that I have been blessed with were scary, but at the same time, as I continued to move through my spiritual practice, I knew that I could help people with them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't quite know how to do that, but I was, raring to go. And I remember my first visit with Brooke I was laying it all out. This is what I want to do. And she asked some very great questions and came to the conclusion that it wasn't right timing yet for me, mm-hmm. which is a real bummer. I thought, no, I need to do this. I'm missing out. But the gift was understanding. And I think this has been the gift of my journey through perimenopause and menopause in this stage of my life is the pause, mm-hmm. the powerful pause of, you know what, I don't have to hustle. I don't have to strive. I don't have to kill myself to make this happen. And perhaps I need not do that because there's some other gems that need to be mined from this fallow period. And it was really about returning to myself, because we think, at least I did, oh, I've been around the block a few times. I've hit my 50s. I know things, right? But I didn't know enough about me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know enough about me. And so this became the impetus or the foundation for let's have radical courage and take a look at what's going on inside. And once you give your self space to do that, as I had with Brooke's guidance, man, things just started to unfold. Understandings, insights, wisdom. And you get to a place, I think, faster. You can, back me up on this, Brooke, but I think you get to places faster when you give yourself that time to do the inner work. So that has been kind of my journey. And now I'm in a space where I'm starting to take baby steps rather than trying to eat the whole elephant. I'm taking a bite a little at a time. And I'm just thrilled with how things are growing steady at a pace that I can handle. And things are opening up. So that's kind of been in a nutshell, the journey that I've been on and things I've learned so far.
Oh, that is really powerful to me, because I think our American culture tells us to hustle, to grind, to go, push. And it's counterintuitive, honestly, to pause and to say, it's not no, it's just maybe not right now. And what can I do to give myself the space, the time, the grace that I need to do that inner work? So when I do want to start something, I'm in a better place, personally, professionally, whatever the case may be. So what a gift to just give yourself to have that. I mean, I just think it's so just the opposite, right, of what we're told to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not a fan of the word hustle or grind or crush, any of that, because particularly given our mental health crisis in this country, I think it's so important for us to take a step back, whether that's therapy, whether that's life coaching, whether that's intuitive coaching, all things that Brooke, myself, and others can do for people. We need that also, is to do that. It is really about patient, know thyself, so that patient can heal thyself.
Yes.
Wow.
And, I mean, you just can't get as far in life. That's my personal opinion. You can't get as far in life if you're not willing to look at some of those things, which some of those things are not fun to look at. I mean, let's just be honest. Like you think, oh, I haven't mastered this yet. I'm still having to go back and learn this lesson. I'm still having to work through this and process it. Yes, because there's more to learn. And because of that, I can impart more wisdom to the people that I have the pleasure of mentoring. Yeah.
Right. You're going to show up for your clients and the people you're serving better, more whole, and healed by doing this inner work on yourself than had you done it without it.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I think the other thing too is that the goal. I mean, we think the goal is wholeness. But what does that mean? Because I think the other piece of this is not only am I able to share what I've learned, I'm very passionate about that. Like, here's what I went through and here's what I learned. Maybe you can learn something from it too. But I think the other gift is that wholeness is about embracing all of it. The imperfection, the breakdowns, the challenges, the tears, the anger, all of that stuff that is fuel for the fire. It's showing up as authentic as you possibly can be. And I think that gives other people the permission to do the same.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. They feel that. They feel the permission to be able to do that. So can you share, Anji, your experience with learning? You've done a lot of learning, it sounds like, throughout this process. Just some new ways of living courageously. And what did that feel like at first?
Yeah. The interesting thing is that I've always been curious and I've always been a sponge for learning new things. I think that one of the things that I really particularly embraced as I've gotten older and learned a little bit more about myself is to follow the spark of curiosity, and what lights you up. And so two main things that I would say that I've learned is follow that curiosity follow that spark. Does it feel right in your body? Like, does it excite you? Right? But the other piece of that is that I've had to learn particularly is that because I love learning, I can take on too much. So is it, like there comes to a point where we really have to ask ourselves, do I need to take another course? Do I really need to read another self-help book? Right? Like we're so, once we get into that mode, I think sometimes it can be a situation where we're just, I need to do more in order to quote unquote fix ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I've learned now that it's not about fixing myself. It's about what is going to enhance my skills, what's going to, fuel my talents, what's going to fuel my personal and professional development, as opposed to the end goal of making the next dollar or, achieving something. It's about how do I add to what's already here? So it's a combination of following the spark, but also allowing yourself to integrate it by not taking on too much. And I think that once I got to that place of really embracing the curiosity, it becomes fun. It becomes so much more fun. And you, for me, I give myself a little bit more grace because, when we talk about my journey and I think about it, I've always been curious. Where I get stuck is when I get curious about something, I go a little ways down that path, and then either I run into a block or I find that, maybe this isn't right for me, or I'm not interested anymore. There comes these feelings of shame and I feel like I want to quit this, or I want to say no, or I need to change paths. So for me, the bigger challenge was not learning and the curiosity piece. It was, how do I continue to keep going and see this to fruition, or have the grace with myself to say, you know what, it's okay to quit this and pivot. Because I think that's one of the things I struggled with, was that sort of the inner critic that says, oh, look at this. Look at all of these unfinished projects you've left in your wake. But I think that now I look back on that and I go, oh, look at all the things that I got curious about and I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is absolutely courage in that. Absolutely. Brooke, it got me to thinking as Angie was talking, she was really saying something powerful about giving yourself the grace to say no. Or how, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but how do you kind of coach a client through that? Because that's not, again, culturally, I think we're taught not to do that. You don't say no, you keep pushing and striving and gutting your way through something when, to Angie's point, sometimes it's the better thing to do to say, hey, it's okay. I tried it. It wasn't for me, or it wasn't alignment with where I'm going personally and my development. How do you coach a client to be able to do that, essentially, I guess? Because I think it's a hard thing for a lot of people. Hey there, listener. If you're a leader, a doer, a visionary, or simply someone trying to live with more intention, the Restoration Project is here to walk alongside you. At the Restoration Project, they believe leadership starts with you. That when you build connection, restore intention, and inspire action within yourself, you create real, lasting impact in your work, your relationships, and your community. At the Restoration Project, their mission is to help people become more courageous, self-aware, and wholehearted leaders. They lead with values like authenticity, integrity, love, and trust, and through one-on-one coaching with individuals, in strategic workshops with teams, or in self-guided programs on their website, they help others do the same. This fall, they have something powerful coming your way. Empowerment communities, small group spaces to grow together in leadership and life with a small circle of leaders. New self-guided courses to help you reflect, reset, and take inspired action. An in-person workshop focused on one of the most important truths you can hold: You are already enough. And a virtual workshop series designed to help you reconnect with your truest self in the midst of a noisy, demanding world. If you're feeling ready for more alignment, more purpose, more growth, this is your invitation. Join their email list to be the first to know about all the details and receive tools to support your journey as a restored leader. Head to the-restorationproject.myflowdesk.com/newsletter to sign up. Elevate your leadership and empower your team with the Restoration Project.
It is. And culturally, back to just American culture, right? We're conditioned to say yes, very early on. I mean, if you know any toddler, right? I mean, a toddler, we come out of the womb like wanting to say no, and have the control over our bodies and our, choices and stuff like that. And as parents and teachers and coaches, we're like, you can't say no.
Right.
Like, you are, you are gonna, like you're bad, and you're gonna get punished for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we, are just conditioned to say yes from a very early age. But in coaching, something that I've learned just myself, and I feel confident walking alongside clients in this because I have done the work and still do the work with this, is, what's the motivation here? Who is showing up in this moment right now? Is it we're going to call out the inner critic, right? Mm-hmm. Like, who's showing up right now? Who's telling you that you can't pivot? Who's telling you that you can't quit? Let's just play this out. Let's say you pivot. Let's say that you quit. What's coming up for you? Mm-hmm. Right. And then, we get that stuff out.
Yeah.
And once we bring it to conscious, it's like they answer their question. I am just helping them uncover the inner teacher. Right.
Well, and Angie, you talked about the shame, right? Like as something mm-hmm. that came up for you. I think that's, again, very natural. And I won't go down the Enneagram rabbit hole here, but we're all saying no for us is hard to do. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a lot of pride around, I'm going to do all the things and help all the people and be everything to everybody, and our desire to be needed and loved and wanted. And so it just doesn't come naturally for us as twos as well. So that's a whole nother thing, that we deal with. But I think there is, like you talked about, Angie, that shame or whatever, would come up for someone in that. So that's great, because just, again, being able to process through that, like you said, what's coming up for you, let's work through it. And like you said, by the end, maybe it wasn't as big of an issue as you thought once you really talked through it and worked through that. So it's not, doesn't have to be scary on the other side. No, on the other side, no, it doesn't have to be fear and terror, even though I don't like it at first, Yeah,
we're not going to completely unravel. I want to go back to something that Angie was saying. Now you say it quite often, but the first couple of times we met, you were not giving yourself grace.
I know.
You are now, and that's part of your showing up and living courageously, is because, as Enneagram 2s, right, we extend amazing grace to everyone in our world, right? Like, that's a gift. We're prided on that. And oh my gosh, such good caretakers and such good helpers, and
everyone should want our help, whether they really want it or they don't.
We know what they need.
Exactly.
We know better than you do.
Do it for you.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes. Please help me. But we don't give ourselves grace, right? We don't even know what we need, which is so sad. I remember when I started my own journey, it was like, well, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? And it was like,
haven't even considered that.
Can't even name it.
No clue. Literally no clue. Can't name one thing.
My husband will say, what is it you need in this moment? I'm like, I can't even say it. Because I don't know what to say. I can't even name. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the courageous inner work, is being able to say, to understand, go deeper inside and go, what is my fear,
Mm-hmm.
and which is the motivation oftentimes, but also what is it that I need? How can I articulate that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, we get to, and this is one of the gifts of marvelous middle age that I've discovered, is that when you get to that place where you're done,
Mm-hmm.
you are burnt out, and you finally take a moment to sit down in your chair and go, hang on a minute, I've given to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now's a time where I can do the inner work and find out, what do I want and need?
Mhm.
And then what do I need to do now to give that to myself?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is what I hear a lot from women who are in our 50s, that we're starting to feel that power kind of surge up in us, where you see women who are so much more courageous because they're like, oh no, this is what I'm doing now. I understand my motivation. For me, it was about the people pleasing. It was about the doing. It was about being seen and wanted. And when I realized that, then I really started to shift it back and go, hang on, what do you want
Mm-hmm.
first? And it's become easier. And I will say that you can learn how to say no, and it's so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling everybody out there, it's such a wonderful word.
You can
It
do
Your
it.
toddler understands. You can do it. And
Yes.
when you start being able to say, no, I can't commit to that. No, I don't have the bandwidth for that.
Mhm.
That's my favorite thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not at a place where I can help you with this. However, I can recommend whatever. Like, you start saying no, and there's an immense relief.
Yeah.
On your emotional psyche and
Mhm.
in your body, you'll feel it somatically. And that's another thing that has worked for me, is tuning into my body.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel tense if I say yes, because I'm just, girding myself up to be able to deliver yet another thing? Or am I saying yes out of a sense of ease and release, like it's
Yeah.
a natural yes?
Right. Right.
So
Pay attention
the
to those signals,
semantics of it.
physical signals. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh gosh, you're speaking to my heart. This is great.
Yeah.
Great.
Which,
stuff.
the typical courage loop, right, is
Mhm.
numbing. Like we're not paying attention to those
Mhm.
signals.
Right.
We don't even we don't even know that we're not paying attention to them, right?
Exactly.
But when you're living like in that radical courage loop and you're feeling that, oh man,
And
it feels so good.
And that was one
like
of the learnings
confident.
that I had with Brooke, is that I knew about the numbing with social media. That's the thing, and I have been working on that. But what I didn't expect were all the other ways that I was numbing.
Mm-hmm.
Hyper productivity is a numbing
Mm-hmm.
activity. If I get scared and I watch myself, I'm like, oh, I've got this thing to do. It feels a little scary. It feels out of my comfort zone. Well, let me just clean the house top to bottom. That happened.
Yeah.
And let me do all these other things.
Yeah.
I've got to be productive. Even when I have weekends, it's,
Yep.
because we sit in that space of discomfort. That's the other piece, is that, it's uncomfortable if we can to sit with fear and the uncertainty. But if we sit with it, I find that it resolves quicker.
Yeah.
And continuing to keep in that high
The spiral and the loop, and
yes,
for sure. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize until they do some of this work, is that sometimes sitting with it and processing through that gets you through that, or onto the other side of that faster than your numbing or your coping skills in the numbing phase of things, for sure. So, and this kind of leads into the next question I had, was what has been the hardest and most challenging step of leaning into this process? The awareness and owning, acknowledging, accepting, action, lifelong learning. Like, what's been hardest for you in all this?
That's a good question. I honestly think the hardest part is just unraveling those patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Had I had this level of understanding and coaching in my 30s, it would have served me immensely well. So if there are any younger women out there, or someone you think this podcast would benefit from that is younger, get on it now.
Mm-hmm.
Get on that pathway of doing the discovery now, because that's the hardest piece is, you know, because once you look, you see it and go, oh yes, of course I'm numbing. I'm doing the hyper productivity thing. It doesn't go away right away. So I will catch myself routinely, and that's part of the inner work is that, oh, here it is again. And you know, it's like strength training in a whole new way. And so that for me has been the hardest is allowing myself rest and trusting that I don't have to work that hard. That has been the hardest thing for me to still really kind of take in and embody, is that I don't have to work hard in order to be successful. Success is something that I can define, right? And maybe I don't have the level of success yet that I want, but I'm starting to see that it's this old adage of, and it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you as well, is that when you imagine you're clenching your fist, you know, you're holding on and you're just gripping and you're just striving, right? And nothing is moving. And then the moment you get so tired and burned out and you open your hands, you throw them up and you go, okay, uncle, I give up. And then the thing happens, right? Miraculously.
Right.
So that's what I keep coming back to, is that if you relax into it and you give yourself the space, you get into flow states faster, you get to solution faster, you get to ease faster. And so there's a lot of great authors and other, you know, thinkers in this space who will say the same thing, that it's not about hustle, it's about aligning.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And and so when you give yourself, like I moved through the world with a lot more ease than I ever did when I was in my 30s and 40s. And I find that I'm making more progress with that. So that's hardest for me though. Still, I mean, I will have a full weekend and I look forward to those full weekends. And then I find myself feeling that sense of agitation of I've got to fill it with something. I've got to do something. So that's my big thing. I'm working on the rest.
Yeah. It's hard, and it's essential too at the same time. It can be a terribly hard thing to work on, but it's also incredibly essential for a lot of reasons. And that can be a whole nother podcast episode when we talk about why rest is so important. But yeah, and that's just not how we're kind of trained, if you will, to be. So thank you for sharing that. I know it's hard to talk about the hard stuff. So thanks for being so open with that. Have you found any specific practices or tools? You know, obviously you've been working with Brooke, and that has obviously had a major impact, but is there anything else that helps you stay in, you know, that living with radical courage space?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. I mean, for me, this is about, you know, healthy lifestyle. And I'm not just talking about exercise and nutrition, although those play a big role, but it's about how do you set up your environment for that healthy living. It's all the little tiny rituals and practices that you have. For me, the big one is meditation, hands down. I'll tell a quick story that illustrates this point. When I started teaching yoga back in the early 2000s, I was all about power yoga. Hard, fast, yes, strong. And yeah, we'll take you into Shavasana, but I had no time for meditation. I'm just going to sit there. What? I got stuff to do. Move over. But I knew from a yogic perspective, from a spiritual perspective, that meditation was very important, and I just couldn't get into it. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I found this magazine. I happened to see splashed on the cover. It was a Buddhist magazine. I think it's called Shambhala. And on the front of it, it said, "Take our 90-day commit to sit meditation challenge." And I was like, yes, I'm all over that, because that's the only way a type A is going to get into meditation, is if you make a challenge out of it.
Yeah.
So the goal was to sit on your cushion for 30 minutes every day for 90 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
You think that that sounds easy. It was hard because when you're sitting in the silence, all of this gunk comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where I'd sit there for the 30 minutes, that alarm would go off, and I'd get up and I'm like, I'm feeling more agitated than when I sat down. This can't be working.
This isn't working.
But after that 90 days, I will tell you, I don't start my day without it.
Mm.
I do not start my day without meditation. It may be 10 minutes, it may be 30 minutes, but it is that powerful because that's the beginning. Just like I mentioned earlier, you sit in those spaces and we think that when all of that stuff comes up, that something's wrong. That's part of the healing process.
Yeah.
Coaching, bringing the stuff up, that's part of the healing process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said something to me, Brooke, recently that I've now got plastered on a Post-it note on my desk, is that failure is a part of the sacred process, right? So that's what we have to do. We have to slow down enough for us to take a look at that stuff, to be able to look at it with compassion, bring it up for healing, because if we don't, it will come out sideways.
Yep.
Right.
And it will continue to be a block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So meditation for sure. Yoga, I love yoga. Somatic movements helps to get those emotions out of your body so that you can begin to process them. Journaling is a big one. I journal with oracle cards. It's a fabulous practice because it invites me to go deeper into my spiritual messaging, into my spiritual practice, and say, what does this mean to me, and how do I want to incorporate this into my life? So those are probably my big three, in addition to, all the other healthy things that I try to do during my day.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that, because again, it's having those consistent practices and tools and supports in your life that can help you continue to do these things. And without it, if you think you're just going to do it all on your own sheer determination and willpower, it's not going to happen. Having things like journaling and meditation and yoga and all those things are so, so important. And if you have to take on a 90-day meditation challenge and to get you into it, go for it. It would be really hard, but it started something obviously for you that helped you become consistent and found it really helpful. So thank you for sharing those. The final question, kind of big picture, how has living courageously impacted your life and work? What impact has it had on you? And just feel free to share any encouragement that you have for listeners.
Yeah, that's a great question. Living courageously has impacted my life in huge ways. The courage to reach out and say, hey, I think I need coaching, which I know I'm doing the shameless plug of Brooke, and I will continue to do that until my last breath, because I can't impress upon people how important that is to have a therapist, a coach, someone who can see things that you can't. But I think, having the courage to do the work, in my line of work, because I have these intuitive gifts, you want to talk about courage. It's a little bit like coming out of the closet when you start telling people, yeah, I'm an intuitive. I use tools like oracle cards and astrology and, mediumship to help connect to the deeper spiritual truths in my coaching and mentoring with other people. And so being able to work through some of the fears of why do I keep talking about my business as a side business or a hobby? Why do I keep because we sabotage ourselves with that fear. And the fear was, will people accept me when I step out and say, these are the gifts that I have and that I use, and I feel very strongly that I'm here to use them and to share them. And so that was a big courageous moment. And once I started doing that in slow, bite-sized pieces, the world opens up for you. The right people and the support come flooding into you. The right opportunities come to you. I'm living testament to that. So that is how continuing to do the hard work. And the courageous part is the first step is knowing yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, the deep knowing of yourself, the shadow side, so that you can heal those pieces. And then what looks courageous to other people is just the fact that you did the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so it really has profoundly impacted my life, because now I'm in a place that's very different, where I'm like, I own who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I own the business. I own what I offer, and I freely talk about it. And now that I look at my life and the connections I've made and the things that I'm doing, that would not have come to pass had I not done that courageous work and taken that courageous step.
Wow. That is so powerful when you share about how you've just authentically, yes, clap and snap. And it is, I mean, it's just, you're just showing up authentically as who you are, which is incredibly radically courageous, right? And saying, this is who I am. These are the gifts that I have to offer the world, and the world needs your gifts. They need what you have, needs what you have. And so that in and of itself, I mean, if that is the legacy to leave this world, I mean, that's so impactful. It's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and just sharing your story. Again, I know it's going to bless listeners out there. There's going to be so many folks who are going to resonate with this and are going to hopefully, step in, to their and do their own work, right? And seek out resources and support to do that. Is there anything else that either one of you would like to just share as we wrap up today?
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
This has been a really fun conversation.
I believe in the power of storytelling. And that's one of the things is I find that my motivation now is to share what I've learned, because it has impacted my life so profoundly to live in this courageous way, and all the tools and the people that I have, used as support for that. So, and now I get to do that. I get to share that forward and to support people on their journey. So that's, plug into your tribe, plug into your resources, let us help you. And if it's not us, find someone who can help you begin to take that courageous step, because you will not regret it, because it's not about the outcome of the $1 million business. It's about living in true authenticity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is who I am.
I love that. That's a great word. Well, thank you so much, both of you, Brooke, Anji, for being on today. And again, I'm just feeling this energy, and I just feel like you guys are going to be opening a lot of minds and a lot of hearts today. So thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for the opportunity, Nicole.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow the show to make sure the latest episode is on your podcast feed each week. I would greatly appreciate a rating and a 5-star review on the podcast platform you're listening on. It helps others to find the show. If there are topics you'd like me to discuss on the show, please email me at themarvelousmiddleagepodcast@gmail.com or direct message me on Instagram at Nicole Stute. Thank you for listening.